Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, Sejohn Sarowick. Sejohn, this is a momentous occasion.
Oh, hey, Devin. What? Yes, it is. It's a very momentous occasion. We have
No,
been
no, 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 no.
recording.
Hold on a second. Don't act like I just stepped into your kitchen while you're drinking coffee. Don't that? What is that? Oh, I didn't see you there.
Hold on, I'm putting my coffee down.
Yes. So continue with what you were saying before you tried to be like, this is you're not running for office. You don't need to seem like an everyman who'd be fun to have a beer with.
Vote for me as your podcast companion. Um, hey, host companion Devin Decker. This is Sejohn Sarowick here, coming to you to just talk to you a little bit about just with my life and who I am. No, we've been recording now for 51 episodes, I think, is what we put out, right? This is
going
number.
to be 52.
This is
And
going to
the
be number
preview
52.
episode, which I've been informed that we did the preview episode perhaps wrong a year later.
Okay.
Apparently, like those preview episodes to like save the RSS address and get the word out, they're supposed to be like 2 minutes long. Ours was 16 minutes long.
Yeah, I mean that's still not a full episode of this show. That's
No,
a pretty.
exactly.
We gave you a good preview. Whoever complained to you about this, they're complaining about getting too much free stuff. All right.
That's true. I mean, like they're just like, I don't know, like a preview should be short, I think. And I'm like, oh, but I figure on a show that's just two people bullshitting, it should be shorter bullshitting.
Yeah, we did do a short episode. I'm confused because we did exactly what we
We wanted to do, but this guy who doesn't do a podcast.
And I think that anybody that's listened to the Say Report knows that all we ever do is what we want to do.
Yeah, that's a show about everything.
And the other thing that's really funny about like people imposing podcasting rules on us is podcasting has existed for all of what, 10 years, if that?
Podcasting because I remember listening to the Ships and Dips podcast from BNL, and that is the only reason why I played God of War. Like, hand to God, Ed Robertson of Bare Naked Ladies was like, I just played God of War. That was awesome. And I'm like, I need a new game.
So I'm just saying that podcasting is not yet old enough for people to be gatekeeping yet. So let's do what we want.
It's the Wild West of entertainment because we can say fuck, cunt. I almost said the N-word, but that seems to be like the only thing that'll get you killed in podcasting. So I didn't.
There are other reasons not to say that word. Just putting that out there.
That's
but
true.
okay.
That's true. You're 100% correct. Like, it's a word that you shouldn't use. I'm just saying there's no... if I knew the 7 words of George Carlin, I would say those 7 words.
Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat.
There he goes. That seems like more than 7, but
it's probably a lot more than 7.
he's
but that's
added
okay.
more. Like that knew that. Well, he added more. R.I.P. George Carlin. I loved you in Jersey, girl. So we've been doing it for this is episode 52. Welcome to episode 52. And if you know basic knowledge,
how calendars work. If you know how a year works, 52 is a year later.
Yeah, so it's been a year, and see, more to Sejohn. I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking. He's just been swearing.
I don't know. So it's like every episode. I don't know if there's much more to say. We've been podcasting for a year, and we've decided on our 1 year anniversary that maybe we should become a little bit introspective. We never really looked to ourselves on this show, Devin. Never at all.
No,
and
never.
so I thought maybe we should on this episode dedicate some time to really looking at us and our place in the pop culture zeitgeist. So we've decided we should take a look back on our very first episode that we released to you people. Not the apparently too long preview episode, but the in fact episode number 1. So today we're going to be listening to that with you, alongside you, together with you, and we're going to be commenting on where we've come, how far we've gone since that episode.
All right, so we're going to release an audio and no audio version of this. So if you're listening to the no audio, we'll give you the cue as when to start. So Sejohn, do you have it ready?
I do.
Audience member, I hope you have it ready because you're going to press play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Man, that bass kicks right in.
It's right in. You don't have to wait for the bass to drop with the Say Report. There are some people who feel like that's what hell will be. is waiting for the bass to drop, and it never will.
Welcome to the Say Report. I'm your
host. Oh God! Oh, you come right in, man. You are hot. You were coming in hot.
Reluctant co-host. I apologize for that.
I'm here by choice. I don't want anyone to think.
Yeah, I'm correcting you though.
Yeah, you're right there. You're here by choice.
I kidnapped you from as far away as you
are. Oh God. we were using all of the same basic equipment and like what programs and all that stuff back then? I'm curious if we sound any better. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you definitely I bumped you up. That's for 100% sure. Because this is the first episode. I still cough all the time.
Oh yeah, well that's just what it's like talking to you. I'm surprised honestly you haven't thrown up yet on this show.
That's very true.
I haven't even watched the first one. I think there might actually be 7. I don't know. I sat through.
Oh, Saw! We're talking about the Saw movies, which is cool because we didn't know that Jigsaw was coming.
No, we had no idea.
And then it happened, and I didn't see it. Did you see Jigsaw?
No, I never bothered seeing it because to me, like the whole point was those first 7 movies. Like that was always like the way of things, the story. I sound like an angry Star Wars fan right now, being like, they were never supposed to make another one.
Are you talking about The Last Jedi right now? I don't. Okay, cool. So then we address the fact that we're not co-hosts. We're Batman, Superman. Holy shit! We've used the Batman, Superman analogy so many times, I didn't realize it originated in episode 1.
Oh yeah, man.
I don't know how I feel. Like, you want to make yourself Nightwing in that one? Because I'm definitely.
Why would you want to be Nightwing? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't I don't know why I was arguing with being Batman.
On the same level?
I think maybe it was because neither of us is Superman.
I think that you were Superman and you didn't want to be Superman.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to be Superman.
But you get to come back in Justice League. That was
no,
fun.
I don't want to come back in Justice League. I want to be dead. Oh my god! Oh, that was awesome. We just got laugh after laugh, and I want somebody to capture that moment.
I laugh at myself laughing.
You gotta laugh.
You know what the problem is? Like, really? It's the fact that I record in a cold basement. And cold is what makes me cough most of all.
Well, yeah, you're in a cold, damp basement. I wonder what you've caught, the sacrifices you've made for this show, Devin.
Is that still... Remember when we used to have a plan when we did a show?
No.
So this episode's going to be about Sing Street. And Shantae.
The Risky's Revenge, right?
Fantastic, because that was the only one I...
Oh, good. I was wondering which one of them I had played. I've been looking at them in my library and being like, I want to play the other one, but I forget which one is the one I played.
Oh, you got to play Pirate's Curse. If you haven't played Pirate's Curse yet, that might be the best one.
Okay. What is
spoilers are spoilers, I guess.
It felt like it was a little different than Returns.
Yeah, you don't have the transformations in Pirate's Curse.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But you get to use pirate weapons.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I'm definitely gonna take a look.
It feels more like a Metroid for that.
Cool. I was just talking about this earlier today with somebody that like 2018 is shaping up to be a good video game year for me because I don't know, like I don't know if you picked up on it, but I was kind of down on video games this year. But you know what's honestly done it? What's brought me back is the Switch more than anything.
Whoa, can we also hold up for 1 second? Curb Your Enthusiasm reference. I didn't know Curb was coming back for its 10th season.
That's what it is. We thought this was a show that destroyed people, Devin, but really what we're finding here, listening back, is we're a show that creates, that brings it back from the dead.
Dude, that'd be crazy. Like, wouldn't it be crazy if like Larry David's like, yeah, I'm ready. These idiots.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard these dum-dums, and now I really want to do it again.
What was that that happened to the members of
Hey, there it is. There's that Say Report cough.
That's why you come, right? I don't know how to mute a microphone. I just have a degree in sound engineering.
If only they could put a button on the microphone that would make it just mute for just a moment so that you could clear your throat.
Oh, I don't use a microphone that has a mute button.
Oh, that was a really
good. I'm looking.
That was a really good swear moment for me. Somebody, man, I want to go through and cut out all of my good swears and all your good coughs and laughs.
I'm not gonna cut out the swears. Remember the 9/11 script of Seinfeld?
I don't. Yeah.
Oh, you want to do a supercut? You want to do a supercut of it?
I don't want to cut them out to erase them. I want to cut them out and just listen to them on like a sound effects CD, a Say Report sound effects CD.
That'd be something, right? That'd be a. That's more than I want to do. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And I would say that I at least have. Okay, so you were talking briefly while we talk about a Seinfeld script that I hated. 2018, I saw the first trailer for a game that I'm excited about in 2018. And that is the remaster of Dark Souls.
Yeah,
so I'm part of the fucking problem. Because they're going to just keep selling us the same game over and over again. But that's what I want, honestly.
But I have seen so many good remasters and revisits and remakes, whatever you want to call them. I've seen so many good ones at this point that I don't mind when somebody comes out and say they want to try it. There are still bad ones out there, and there always will be. But you know what? There's bad video games, new and old, that come out all the time. So, like, surprise, surprise, some of them work and some of them don't. I think anybody that gets upset that, like, people are going back to the same well over and over again, that's a silly thing to be upset about, because especially in video games, there's always improvements to be made on that stuff. So I'm excited for Dark Souls the remaster, because I actually don't like Dark Souls, but from everything that I've seen about the remaster, it might be the one that I try and get into.
Yeah, if they take the actual Cookie Chef is right there, just for the record, next to the hat that I want to give you as a gift. But it's my copy of the hat. Spoilers for your gift that you'll one day receive. It is a hat that I own, that I wanted you to have a copy of. And then hopefully we could wear the hats at the same time while we record.
As we record,
yeah. Decided to blow up my spot and claim that I did it for a girl.
Well, to be completely honest with you, I was using that as a way to transfer into the fact that I totally fucked up the episode number of that Futurama thing that I quoted.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man, remember? This is like fact-checking involved and all this. Yeah. We don't do any of this crap now.
We're going to talk about corrections, but then, like, we don't ever... We tried to do corrections 2 episodes ago, and it's like, this is terrible. Let's just act like we know what we're doing. But yeah, but also, just to jump back to Dark Souls Remaster, if they take the engine from Dark Souls 3, then Dark Souls Remastered will be amazing. Because it was just faster. Like, that's what I'm having a problem with Demon's Souls, is I'm moving too fast for it now.
Okay.
Was your first glimpse at what the Say report was going to be. And Good. I like that we referenced the preview and they referenced the preview. Also, there's the us and them in this.
Yeah, I was just going to say they, like those people.
Those idiots. A year ago, Sejohn and Devon.
How often do you go back and listen to the older episodes?
Oh, I never listen.
I can't. Do you even listen when they come out, or?
So, like, no, I don't. Very rarely do I listen. Occasionally I will if I don't have anything on my, like, new podcast to listen to, or, like, I don't want to listen to... I listen to Netflix a lot. Like, I just put on a TV show on Netflix and just listen to the dialogue. So if I can't think of anything, sometimes I'll listen to an episode of The Say Report.
Okay. I never go back. I listen to an episode in the background as often as I can, but, like, I never pay attention to what we're doing.
Well, that's good. I mean, I imagine that's soothing for you, because I think that, as we just said, this is like therapy for us. So, like, hearing you talk to me must be like, it's like a heavy blanket.
Yeah, man.
Heavy blankets for autism.
I'm just a serial killer sitting around listening to my victims is what I'm doing. It's soothing.
Oh, well, you're gonna kill yourself too?
I'm just saying, this is what we're doing, and I mean, even the show in general is psychotic. Like, we should acknowledge that.
Oh yeah, dude, it's totally insane. It's completely insane. People who listen, thank you for listening to what are the insane ravings of a madman and the person who hopes to one day murder him, securing his freedom.
That's available on current consoles, right?
That is correct. Which is which?
900 miles away, you've got me under your spell.
Yeah, it's like Saw.
Oh, hey, look at that.
So if it was kickstarted clearly successfully, and I mean, all around, the game seems to be,
Risky's Revenge. God damn. I want to play that one again. It's so quick.
I mean, like, here I am a year later still thinking about it and wanting to go back to that world. Not necessarily back to that game just yet. I do want to eventually replay that game, but I think it's still too soon for that for me.
And right now, I'm sitting here a year later, like, kind of upset at the world. Because of all the DLC that came out for the 4th game. Like, I haven't brought myself to do it. Like, I haven't brought myself to get friends to the end. Because, like, playing as Risky, as I'm talking now, was awesome. It was basically Pirate's Curse Shantae controls as Risky.
Yeah.
But Friends to the End, it's 3 characters that you've never played as before. But it's not playing as them alone through the game. It's sort of like a Lost Vikings.
Because I imagine these 2 characters play very differently.
Okay,
The other thing
okay.
about this series
Man,
is
Lost
that,
Vikings. I don't think
Shantae
I've thought
had
about that game in years.
Oh, I think about Lost Vikings once a week.
right, which risky
From
pirates
3:30 a.m.
villain
to
who was taking
3:37
revenge.
a.m.
Apparently,
every
by the time we get to the
Friday.
fourth game,
As the
Devon
Lost
was working
Vikings
alongside
time.
Shantae.
Dedicated time just put aside for you to just sit there and contemplate.
I wake up at 3:30 a.m. just to think about the Lost Vikings, and 7 minutes later I fall asleep.
Of course.
By the time it makes sense that you could play as it, and really, it seems like it's a response measure from. Also, like I said, that it made sense that you would play as Risky in that game. No, it's fucking bullshit. Like the way that they do it, it's like every story has two sides. And it's
I mean,
like, okay,
yeah,
that's
what that is
fun.
cheap. It's like it makes sense, but it's a cheap excuse.
Where like Shadow Knight, Shovel Knight, and how they did Plague Knight, like it was cool that he had a completely different story that was going alongside the story that was happening in Shovel Knight.
Right.
Like I enjoy that. I enjoy that function.
Yeah, well, it's just handled better. I mean, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was handled better. And then like even the Spectre Knight stuff, like being a prequel, it fed into that world better. Where I mean, it's nice. I like this. I'm not going to complain about the risky mode, but there's no. It's not linear. Like Shantae is very linear. The Shantae story, where risky you can go wherever you want. But here's what I don't like about that: is you get the upgrades in the same order, regardless of which levels you beat. So it's not like you beat. So there's 5 levels. There's like the desert. There's the sky. There's the spooky house.
Spooky house.
I don't know.
There's the ice level.
There's no ice level though. I can't remember what the other ones are. But like that's it. Right? You have like those type basic things. Oh, there's the factory. There's the waterfall level. Waterfall, desert, spooky house, the sky, and then like the first level, like the intro level, which is like Agrabah Bazaar.
Nice.
And no matter if you beat the waterfall level first or the scary house level first, you get the sword upgrade.
Okay.
And then whatever you beat next, you get the grapple hook upgrade.
So it doesn't really matter. Like they like choose your own path, but choosing your own path amounts to nothing.
Right, because that's what I mean. The whole point of these games, if you're going to be a trophy hunter on them, is speed. Like you have to do a speed run, and the fastest speed run in the risky game is an hour. So I'm like, oh well, when I beat the spooky house, I got the cannonball jump, and the cannonball jump basically breaks the game. Spoilers for Pirate Curse for you, because you don't have it yet. But you can jump. It's not a double jump. It's not a triple jump. It's a 5 jump. It's a quintuple jump. And I'm like,
that's insane.
You'll be like, oh yeah, this is a bigger game. Really,
Okay.
Risky's Revenge.
Oh, we were talking about size.
You have the
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about playing a bigger version of that game because it was so perfectly packaged last time. I think I'd be, I might get a little tired of the world. I don't know. We'll see when I play. Maybe that's what we should do. My first Say Report play of a game this year will maybe be some Shantae.
I think that's perfect. I think that
Pirate's
Curse would be a good time. I'll go back to it too. I haven't gone back to it in a while.
Is like kind of like a jungly
Look at this.
area.
We're all over it. We just discussed the worlds. We know what we're going to talk about before we talk about it.
Yeah, we were on it back then.
I think
those kids.
You really did. You really did love the size of the game world, and you think that more would not be more. It'd be like less is more.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, good. Like I can see the end.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. It works. I mean, like Pirates, they're all fast. They're all speed running.
I don't think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So there's that.
I could have done it, but it wouldn't have been as fun.
And I think it is still just the 3 towers overall in the game. My thing is that the original Shantae game is 4 towers. God, you should play the original Shantae. Actually, that game will break your heart. That game's super hard.
Is it hard in like a Mega Man way or hard in a I don't want to play this way?
It's hard in like a Mega Man way. That's the way to do it. Like, but like, It's also hard because it's a Game Boy Color game, and the way that I played it was as DSware. Like I downloaded the color ROM.
Yeah.
So like that's not the way that you should play a Game Boy Color game. But the game, here's the thing: I remember reading about Shantae and Nintendo Power, and it was one of those games that I always wanted to buy. And now, because of its like relative rarity, the game is like $200-300.
Oh God. Okay.
So like, yeah, I'll just download the ROM because like I couldn't get the ROM to work on my computer on an emulator.
Weird.
Which sucked.
Yeah.
Now I can get behind something a little bit like
Good.
that. Like,
a little bit of depth. I missed the depth. I'll be honest with that.
Button and you can just watch her dance for hours is a little creepy at some point.
Exploitive. It's exploitive. Oh my God, we totally led that 2017 was going to be the year of the feminist.
Yeah, well, the year of breaking down exploitation. Yeah. Yep. Let's us two white males take total credit for breaking down the walls of exploitation.
No. It's just fun to say. He pointed out we are two white males. We don't get to claim that. What was I talking about? Something Weinstein. Oh, Paddington. Right? Paddington 2 came out. And so Dale had never seen the original Paddington. The original Paddington distributed by Weinstein.
Oh no!
So it was one of those like no moments. But thank God, Paddington 2, Warner Brothers, just as good as the first one.
I've heard it's actually kind of better in some weird ways because it's just a Paddington story. Like it's not like a weird origin story. It's just Adventures of Paddington.
Yeah, but the first one was just sort of the Adventures of Paddington 2.
Okay, I haven't seen the first one yet.
It's on Netflix. Watch it, right? Like, just put it aside.
There is a very specific case for me for watching movies like that, which is like Saturday afternoon, like all housework is done and we are just chilling out. Like, so that's when I watched Boss Baby, for instance, and that was a fantastic experience. So maybe maybe later today, after all the work is done and the snow is falling, maybe we'll hang out and watch Paddington.
That'd be cool, and I guess I'll watch Boss Baby too, so that we can.
Oh my God!
We'll
dude.
trade movies.
You wanna see a weird movie with some connotations, and they already announced a Boss Baby 2 because of how well Boss Baby did.
And all of that is like really well made.
Dude, I'm so happy the show is not what it was
of how they do the leveling
then anymore.
But they cheat.
I mean, it is though still in a weird way. Like listening to us talking about this stuff, like we do this stuff. We still talk about this stuff. I think the difference is that we realize that a lot of this stuff.
It's
we
fluid.
Do on fly
it's more
anyway.
fluid now.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. Like we were so regimented this first episode. Like we're like it's like okay, so the first half of the show we'll talk about Shantae.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that prefer that regimented show style because they like to know what they're expecting when they get into a podcast, which is fine. And like I don't mind podcasts like that, but I don't care to make a podcast like that right now.
Yeah, like I like that we're just sort of talking. It's just cool. And I'm sure people hate it, but
but which was always kind of the point of what we wanted to do here, right? Was we just wanted an outlet for us to be able to talk about this stuff in a way. And I mean, we talked about this last episode. Like the origin of this whole thing was us just talking at a bar and somebody saying, "I could listen to you guys do this every week," and so we were like, "All right, let's do this every week." So in a weird way, us trying to regiment it in the beginning was the total wrong way. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm glad that like it was probably good that we started the way that we did.
So, like learning all of that
but it's probably better that we realize that like there should be fluidity to it. We don't need to be rigid. But if we didn't have that rigidity in the beginning, if we were more flaccid starting out, I don't know if we would have gotten to episode 52.
How would we have ever gotten this deep if we were flaccid in the beginning? I just think that at some point I would like to do a more regimented show, but in that case I would want more people involved. I would want there to be better equipment involved. The whole point of what you and I do is the fact that in a lot of ways this is like a test case for us. We try new things almost every week and see how they work, and sometimes they stick around and sometimes they don't. New equipment, new setups, new topics, all sorts of stuff.
That's true. I mean, like now that I have a Yeti microphone, I could use any computer. I don't need to use this old Mac anymore. So I could like change it and see. I don't know. I like that we're talking over just Shantae right now. Us explaining the game. It kind of feels smaller again. But I get what you're saying. Plus, for me, our hour a week, I get to feel like I'm doing something creative. And it's one of those things where like I'm trying to think of this. The rule, sort of, when you're looking for a job, is that if you have a job, it's easier to find a job.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense, right?
Yeah, of course.
So that's totally what you have to do. Is you need to take a shitty job at the job lot warehouse if you want to get the eventual job working for the Department of Human Services.
Yeah, man.
Spoilers
is actually
for life.
But,
nice. They just redid it because the new one.
But yeah, we needed to get into doing this sort of stuff again because we needed to be doing something, right? And that was always kind of the point. And I like that we are still doing it a year later.
Yeah, of course. I'd like to think that we're going to be doing it 2 years later. So that's whatever 52 times
100 years from now, as we look back on this.
Walkthroughs and stuff.
I'd like to have 156 episodes. That's really what I'm aiming for, not counting very special episodes or things like that.
This is technically the director's cut, quote unquote. I'm not quite sure what's too different about it. So it's
remastered better, Sejohn.
This particular version, but even on the original version.
Yeah, the original one was just like DSiWare that they sort of fleshed out real fast, so they updated it and
nearly as active as some of these older games.
I kind of feel like the first two games have sort of been left in the dust, just because it's still kind of true. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the Shantae series now, especially after 2017 was sort of the year of DLC and loot boxes and stuff like that. It's that thing that we talk about with Nintendo all the time.
Yeah.
That eventually they're going to see the money that can be made, and they'll probably succumb to it.
Yeah. In a way that we don't expect and we're not going to like that's going to happen. I think one of the other things with Shantae right now is 2017 happened. And a lot of the problems that we addressed in this first episode with Shantae are problems that now are much more glaring. The ugliness of Shantae comes through a lot more at the end of 2017 than it ever did in the beginning, because of just all sorts of stuff. We talk about the sprites and the weird, hypersexuality of a lot of the characters in it. We talk about the DLC problems. We talk about like stuff that you were excited for then, and now at the end of 2017 you're not, right? I think that 2017 happened, and now Shantae's in a weird place for us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing is 2017, without a question, Link to the Past randomizer. Wow, it's amazing that I just segued to myself. I gotta be honest, that just happened.
Check out Devon does randomized Link to the Past on Twitch, and
yeah. So that's what I was going to say, and that randomizer Link to the Past. That is all I want to do. That's all I want to do. I mean, goal for 2018. I'm going to try to complete 365 unique seeds.
Okay. All right.
It's one a day, basically.
Yeah. Are you on track or what?
Yeah. No, I'm actually over. I think I have 17 right now done. Because I've been doing 2 a day on the weekends.
You need to bank a couple,
Well, that's the thing. You never know.
Shit happens.
Well, and 100%, I wasn't going to do the race on Saturday. AGGQ just ended.
Right.
The Awesome Games Done Quick. And that was fun to watch. But then they're immediately afterwards, we're going to have a race for the whole community. And it's oh, okay, that'll be fun. I want to watch this. I don't want to worry about that. But then I'm yeah, no, I kind of want to take part in this race. And it was 155 people, which was the biggest race ever.
Nice.
For the game. I got 71st. So that's
that's not
top
bad.
50%, honestly.
Yeah, man.
So I talk about myself here in this game where I'm maybe one day I'll get to 130, and I've gotten that, right? Because that's what that was. Yeah. I don't know. It's good times. Great oldies. B101.
I just like that we've had so many through lines from the first episode, really.
That is sort of nice looking back. It's stuff that we. Yeah, it really is. Especially the Batman Superman thing. I'm glad that I convinced you that you're not Nightwing. That's the greatest trick I was able to pull.
That's what it was for me.
Because if I had to be yeah, we got this Batman Nightwing dynamic. Nightwing is still inferior to Batman.
Where I played.
I don't, and I'm not going to say that Batman's inferior to Superman because he's not. They complement each other. They are the yin yang symbol of the DC universe, and somebody should make that.
How about this? Batman and Green Arrow.
I don't want to be okay. I like that because you're Green Arrow.
Yes,
as long as I'm fucking Batman, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't mind being. I don't mind being Oliver Queen. I cannot stand the idea of being Clark Kent.
Okay, that's fair. I can get behind that. All I want to know is when I'm going to get to play the fourth game as Risky. Because I've already got the platinum. I've gotten 100% as fast as
for people out there, you got to play the fifth game as Risky
in July of 2017. And I completed it within 3 days. I had gotten the platinum for that.
You hear yourself?
That actually kind of also blew my mind.
Nope.
Like $20.
You're talking about having to pay.
And it's not to say that it's not worth
Listen to this.
$20. It's just that like after paying $5 for the first one, and actually I only paid $2 something for it.
Yeah.
So
you paid $2.50 for it.
Right. But
This
even at full
is
price,
so good. I cannot believe we're
so,
doing
like,
this in episode 1.
And it was the perfect
Talking about money.
So like,
Talking about
much
paid
more
DLC?
than that, and you're saying like it just
I kind of
doesn't
can. I
feel
can kind of believe it.
huge. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait until that one goes on sale too, because that's the other thing is that like
It was on sale for $7.99 for a while. I didn't let you know though because I forgot about this conversation.
The reason why I felt like I'm going to spend this money, I'm going to do it. First of all, it was supposed to come out in the drought of games. Like it was.
Let's also talk about the fact that what I ended up doing with Shantae is when it went on sale, I traded in the physical copy that I bought for $30. I got $20 for that, and then bought the digital. So like overall, doing the math, I ended up saving money. Like this whole thing that I'm talking about, this complaint that I am making, it all worked out. It all worked out.
Didn't it not actually come out until January?
I'm not sure. I got it. It came to my house on December 21st. I got a physical copy in my house on the 21st.
That's all true.
It's just it's.
So I don't know what
These are facts.
You're like, didn't it not come out till January? I owned it, Sejohn. What are you talking about?
Like I was saying, like I enjoy these types of games. Like I really do love like this 2D side scroller stuff. This little kind of like just on
So
the
like
edge
Mega
of
Man
indie,
11, right?
like,
Let's talk about
but
Mega Man
enough
11
money
right
to make
now.
it nice.
Yeah,
Say
all
that.
right.
But still
I'm not
so much
super
money that
excited.
somebody's, like, over
Yeah,
their shoulder
you've
the whole
mentioned
time
that
telling
you're
them
not
they
happy
can't
about
do
it, and like I get like I get not being excited. I'm not excited because I don't care about Mega Man though, but it's gonna mean something. Whether or not it's the whether it's not Mega Man that gets put on the back burner for 10 years or Mega Man comes back with a vengeance, it's gonna be one of those two though.
You know,
We're either going to have a lot of Mega Man in our lives in the next 10 years, or we're not going to hear a word from Mega Man in the next 10 years.
Yeah, like what is going to be? What are they looking for? How much money do they make in order to like start pumping out Mega Man again?
Yeah,
Because I would
yeah,
love a Mega Man a year. A Mega Man a year would be perfect.
Well, and the thing is that they've proven that it takes a lot of time, effort, and money to make Mega Man games, like really good ones. With the way that everything fell apart with Mighty Number 9, and now this, like taking its time and all this, I don't think you can get a Mega Man a year, which sucks because they are the perfect kind of game for that. Maybe what if they were to do like they did with Hitman, where like they put out a little bit of the game at a time, and you just
Bullshit.
get it. Like,
that never works for games like this.
I mean,
Sonic the Hedgehog 4 does not exist. Is
well,
what I'm
right.
going to reference.
Right,
Because they
but
tried to do
but
that.
Hitman is an example of it working really well. So it's proven that style of game can work. I mean, Telltale does it with every one of their games. So like piecing games out over a year or year and a half works. It just has to be done right.
Right. I don't think. All right. But the only thing that I say to the Mega Man thing is you're like it's proven that it takes time. Mega Man 1 came out in 1987. Mega Man 2, 1988. Mega Man 3, 89. 90, 91.
Yes, and by a lot of accounts, not all of those games are great.
All those. I mean, I hate Mega Man 3. Like,
yep, and Mega Man 1's not really.
Mega Man 1, you know, the first Capcom game, you never get to count. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Okay.
You don't. It doesn't count at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Powerful.
I mean, that seems
female
like that's the way of
characters.
things with video games in general nowadays. Because 2 is always the way that they kind of refine what they were trying to do in 1 in the first place, and 2 always ends up kind of being the one they always meant to make.
Yeah.
That just not for everything, but that's pretty general.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially in the NES era. It's like, we have these ideas, let's try them out. All right, here's the stuff that worked, here's the stuff that didn't work. Like, every Capcom first release game is basically a beta build of what is going to come after it.
Right, it's a different culture, you understand.
So, like, you have, like, Mega Man 2 was the one that everyone remembers. People don't remember Mega Man 1. Street Fighter 2. Have you ever played Street Fighter? Have you ever played just Street Fighter? No, you haven't. Let me tell you why, though. Those you know, like light, heavy, light, medium, heavy attacks.
Yeah.
they had context-sensitive buttons on the original Street Fighter. So depending on how hard you hit it, that's what you did. It wasn't the 6-button thing. So those systems don't exist anymore.
Hypersexualized image of her now from the
just
title
crazy.
page and from all of the times that she talks. They bring this image on stage.
You want to talk about hypersexualized Shantae, right? When you beat the game really fast, like the cheesier the cheesecake. The richer the cheesecake? I don't know.
Cut to talking, and it's not pixelated anymore. It is this drawn image where they like go out of their way to draw incomprehensible cleavage.
Yeah, incomprehensible. She's a genie, right?
But also
Incomprehensible cleavage is my punk rock album.
Well, you write that down. Just don't forget.
It's my new rock band. There it is.
There we go. I wish that like Rock Band were easier to stream. That'd be fun.
I still stand by the fact that we should try doing it online at some point.
Oh, totally. That'll be.
And then maybe one of us can try streaming the online and see how that works.
For help. Like he reluctantly gives you help.
We probably get shut down real quick because aren't all those songs copyrighted in some way?
No, I think that like the parts that can show are the stuff between the playing.
We should still stream it and then just react really big between songs.
To be like, hey, you want to help me out?
Wow, like, dude, this is crazy. Considering what 2017 was, our criticism of Balo in the Shantae games as like the mansplaining bullshit male character is insanity. It's just crazy. I mean, and that's the thing that I always find with this show is that like we talk about something or we bring something up, and then I notice it more, or I notice it coming up, and I wonder if that is like our minds having some weird effect on the world around us, or if it's just a case of Bader Meinhof.
Yeah, it's just confirmation bias, I think, right? Like the idea that we talked about it and then all of a sudden we just see it everywhere is definitely a huge part of it. But I do think 2017, I think that you and I, not like we were like magical about this or anything, but I think you and I are talking about things in this episode that like really came to fruition in 2017. You know, a lot of people started talking about hypersexualization. A lot of people started talking about
weird conceits, all of that stuff. Is the other
DLC stuff. I'm listening to myself.
That's fine. I have been quiet when I'm talking. I like to sort of come through in stereo.
It was originally a DS game.
Yes.
So like.
Look at that. We talked about that then too. I'm sorry that I reminded you.
Now, like 10 years out, which is like not an excuse for that stuff, but it's a reason. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this stuff exists.
You know what? It's not an excuse or a reason. When in the most recent game, the first major boss that you fight is a half-naked mermaid whose breasts can hurt you.
Yeah. Oh my god,
dude! I'm sorry. I was building up to something there. I needed to see what it was. And that's what it was. It is the fact that 100% that is.
When are we going to get the DLC? Or blah, 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 blah. It's like, can you believe the boobs can hurt you? And I'm like, oh. And then like I streamed it.
Video game communities are the worst.
Video game communities are kind of the worst. And like I started to feel real like bleh on the Link to the Past community. But then I found out like I was just in a bleh corner of it.
Yeah.
Because like I've found people now who are not awful people.
There are no more half-naked giant anime chicks. It's only that first level that has.
I mean that's true of all nerddom, I guess too, right? I was actually just thinking last night about D&D. I am playing a small family game of D&D essentially. It's I'm trying to think of the best way to break this down. But essentially it's D&D rules applied to an over the garden wall style universe. And I'm the game master for it. And last night I was playing with all the housemates, right? And it went so well. And I thought I've never had a D&D game go this well. And then it occurred to me, it's because I've just played with shitty people in the past. Like now that I'm playing with good people that I know and I care about, like it's actually super fun to sit around and tell stories together. It just like playing with shitty people, it makes for a shitty experience.
I'd really like to use this time to segue into the Critical Failure podcast, in which I showed up on the first 4 episodes as they did their intro to Dungeons & Dragons. I've decided not to continue with that, but, you know, they're fun to listen to.
I think it's actually up on Steam.
Yeah, but is it, I mean, like, is it part of the problem where, like, things just were not working for you? Would you feel better if you were playing with somebody that you cared about?
I mean, I do care about them. I think I'd feel a little bit better if we knew what we were doing.
And like
it's one of those things where like when you stream a video game, if it's like a first-time stream, you need to be prepared to not know what you're doing and to look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And like I'm fully prepared to look like an idiot on that thing, but like that wasn't fun for me. Like I'm like, okay, I get it. Like the whole point is that we don't really know what we're doing, and that's going to be the conceit of the show.
Yeah.
But like that's not for me. Like I didn't find it fun playing that way.
Yeah, we should put something together then with you and me and see if we can get maybe a couple of other people in on something, because I bet we could find a version of that style of show that would work really well for us, even if it's just like a one-off special or something. I can get you into some D&D, I promise.
Okay, sorry, I'm just into the fact that we totally talked about the original Shantae as well, and my complaint about DS.
Mm-hmm.
We're ridiculous human beings, right?
Hey,
I love you, man. I really do.
Fandom never changes.
Fandom does never change.
There's nice weird colors.
I don't know. I also just sort of have a problem with like I'm not good at it, so watch me do it as a show type.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was part of that like backseat gamer thing where I tried to like walk through a person who had never played games before through like games that I can play with my eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
And then like that's sort of like what critical failure is.
Yes,
like
for sure.
it's cool and like I had fun doing it and I definitely listened to it. But I think you're right. That part of my issue was, you know, that whole thing of like, you know, like I know that we're not good at it, but like I don't find that entertaining. I personally don't find that entertaining.
Well, you got to think about what the mindset and the point is behind stuff like that. Because if it's a show where it's just about like highlighting how inept somebody is at something, like that's no fun. That's no good. But if it is legitimately about like, look at how easy it is for me to teach you how to play D&D, that's a much more interesting show to me. You know, like I'm not there to watch you stumble. I'm there to watch you grow. And so it depends on what the kind of show is for me. You know. So if you felt like as somebody that was playing that game you weren't learning anything, then get out, man. Like eject.
I did eject.
Yeah.
Oh, Sing Street. I'm very happy. You know what I was thinking of is that a year ago was MLK Day, and what we did was we drove to Wahlburgers and we listened to the Sing Street soundtrack the whole time in order to amp me up for our recording.
Nice.
Yeah.
What did you? What was this year's Sing Street for you?
What?
What was this year's Sing Street for you?
Well, I don't know. Here's talk about this. 2017 sucked for movies.
Yeah.
Like that, I can't. I'm like, yes, we're going to do our Oscar pick show, and I'm very excited for that. But like, I can't think of any movie that got me that excited as I was about Sing Street. Because like,
Logan was really good this year. Wonder Woman was really good this year. Star Wars was good for me, you know, like, but we know that didn't work for you.
And it like continues to not work for me, which is a problem that I'm having. I'm trying to think. Like Logan was really good. Logan was the first movie of 2017 where I'm like, all right, we don't need to do movies anymore. We've made the perfect film.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of like smaller movies, like indie stuff that I've seen at the end. Like The Disaster Artist was a good movie, and you should definitely check it out. But I don't know. I know that it's not going to work for some people on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
And it's like Lady Bird was really, really good.
Florida Project might be the one this year. Have you checked that one out yet?
I didn't. I liked 98% of that movie.
Oh, yes. You didn't like the last 10 minutes,
Have
right?
you seen The Florida Project?
I haven't seen it yet, but that's the one that I'm kind of looking forward to, and I was hoping it was kind of going to be my Sing Street this year. You know what my Sing Street was this year? Duet, the musical episode of Flash.
That's fair. That's completely fine.
That is my Sing Street of this year. It makes me just happy just to watch that episode. I can put it on anytime. The best part about it is it's only 44 minutes long.
Yeah, I don't know. Atomic Blonde is like a pretty heavy one, but just because of like how interesting it is to me that like falling asleep for 5 minutes and not seeing the exposition of that movie made it a better movie.
Music serves the story really
Like that was really
what
cool.
What I will say that was a little disappointing in Sing Street is going into it expecting.
I don't know. Shape of Water was really good. But like Sing Street hit me in a way that I was so unexpected.
Writing that particular music.
Well, I mean, do you think it's a matter of that just kind of being a once in a lifetime type of thing, though? Like lightning rarely strikes twice, type of situation.
I mean, I guess, but I sort of felt the same way about Begin Again, right? Which we're talking about now, and
very particular style and
it's all right. So I guess like musical wise, right? There was no musical movie this year that really worked for me. Like there wasn't even like a Trolls that tried. Coco, the best part about Coco is the fact that it's like a Blues Brothers musical, where like all of the music that happens in it is performed.
Yeah,
but because they called it like this is the first Pixar musical, I'm like, no, this isn't really a musical. It's really good music, but it's not like a Disney musical done by Pixar.
Right, because it's not original music, right?
Well, it is original music, but again, it's like performed. So it's not like it's like he's on stage singing a song. So it doesn't.
Man, you live in the year of like Age of Rock and stuff like that, man. Like musicals are like that now in a lot of ways.
I know, but I like that. I prefer that. That's like I love the Blues Brothers because that movie works for me in a different way. But like the only musical that else I can think of is The Greatest Showman, and that I mean like it's crazy because the reason that I don't really like Frozen is because I feel like the songs are just there so that there can be songs. They don't really move the plot along at all.
Okay.
And then I have a friend who absolutely loves Frozen, and then his critique of The Greatest Showman was exactly my problem with Frozen. So I'm like, so you can identify that as a problem. I don't know what to do with you, my buddy.
And we'll do these songs that like
I don't know. Sing Street was really good, and it was all original, and like I don't know, because it was still imaginative and fun and musically.
Yeah. Recreate it with and whatever criticism he got with that, he brought into Sing Street.
So like, I like there was no John Carney movie, honestly, which is the big issue.
Yeah.
I need to see once is what I'm hearing.
I gotta see once still. I still haven't seen once.
Oh my God, killer! It's so good.
It sounds like Begin Again kind of falls a little.
I saw The Room this year. That's what I saw.
The song's really good, but then the
I really liked The Room. The Room might have been my Sing Street.
Oh God. Somewhere Tommy Wiseau has a hard-on right now, and he can't figure out why.
Tommy Wiseau always has a hard-on, and he can't figure out why.
Because that's what a lot of the is at that point listening to.
He gets excited when he gets flaccid. He's like, "Oh hi."
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Funny word that rhymes with Mark for not having a hard-on.
Like it's a.
I'm done. That was bad. That was bad. But I just
feels more intense than the rest of the movie allows it to be.
What happened, Mark? Where has it gone?
It feels super rapey.
Oh, bye, Mark. There we go.
Bye.
And I'm like,
He just calls his dick Mark now.
And he doesn't.
Oh my God! What if that whole movie is just a metaphor for his relationship with his penis?
Dude, I could totally see it.
But the movie doesn't earn that right.
I could totally see that being it. That Lisa cares more about the sex with him than him as a person.
Right, like weird stuff like that.
And it breaks him.
And it breaks him that like she loves him on a physical level, but not on a mental, emotional level.
Turns out that he's like one of their best friends.
Dude,
in that movie, which is great.
Love
like,
it.
I love a bully redemption in like the '80s style.
Absolutely love it.
But again, the movie didn't quite earn that.
We did what thing that we said we were going to probably do, Sejohn.
Yeah.
Just gonna say it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the only reference that we have to the fact that we did that thing.
Like they were like small things throughout. That's an interesting thing. I
don't know. See Lady Bird. I really did like Lady Bird. That might be the lightning in a bottle for me. But then like I heard someone criticize it, and I'm like, I don't know how you could criticize that movie.
His older brother is like,
it was really enjoyable.
Good.
And the older brother, he was in Free Fire. That movie was a garbage fire.
Amazing.
Which one is Free Fire?
Free Fire is the movie that's a 140-minute gunfight.
Oh, yeah.
With Brie Larson and Armie Hammer. And the brother
it's supposed to be like,
Exactly.
and they tried to push it as like an Aaron Sorkin style script where they were like, this is based on actual FBI files, but it's really just a whole bunch of just overblown crap, right? Script-wise, I mean.
The script is terrible. Like the action is really good, but then like whenever it's not action, you're like,
perfect.
You know what would be really cool?
It's the problem is
some more of that
there are 12
action.
other characters in this movie, and like,
Right.
they do not get the attention that one character does.
Right, and
Oh,
yeah, 'cause
cold.
he doesn't. He's obviously a main character, but he's not like a lead character.
Dude, I'm sorry.
And
I'm
you're
just
right,
curious
he's
how
just
much
a
we have
You
left
know,
in the episode.
is
Good,
I
I
was
didn't-
curious
I didn't
too.
think-
It's like,
Like this first episode was also long.
showing the little brothers,
Like,
Yeah.
because we were like
but
we
also
really
he's
got
one
into
that's
the
like, I
fact
can't
that
do
we
this
were
I can
like
only
being
teach you how to
creative
do this, but
again.
At some point, you just need
And-
to do
Well, yeah,
this,
and well,
which
and
is
part
like
of it
this
is
whole
because we
moment.
came in
He's
with
just
a
like, you
plan
need to
and we
be your own
stuck to that
fucking
plan
man.
no matter what.
Which is, like,
Yeah,
this beautiful
that's
moment. But
100%
again, that's
it.
one of the few moments
And we
where
ended up
it
talking
feels
about
like
Shantae
that
like
actual push.
20
Because
minutes
other
longer than
that,
we were
it's
talking about
all
Shantae
very
now.
surface level
Mhm.
stuff, and then like a really
I'm
good song goes
well
along,
because we
which
would just
makes
cut to the
sense
point now,
from,
right?
like, a
Cut to
music
the quick,
video
as it were.
standpoint, but
Yeah.
not
Oh,
necessarily
we,
from like a film standpoint.
Like
Yeah,
we
I'm
meander
curious
a little
what we
bit,
talk
but
about
you
the rest of this episode, and also how many people bothered listening this far. If you're still listening, thank you. Hey there, thanks.
And we could talk about the fact that, like, I like that movies have still been a real big part of the DNA of this show. Like, the films that I see and the films that you fail to see.
Well, and, and they would kind of, it would kind of have to be, right? Because this is what we do. This is what everybody's doing right now, or at least was doing up until about 2 months ago. Now I'm curious to see what the first half of this year looks like for everybody. Us, the real world, everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I'm excited to see Proud Mary. I can't believe I haven't seen Proud Mary yet.
What is that? I don't even know that
Oh
one.
my god, Proud Mary is Taraji P. Henson in like a modern day take on the blaxploitation movies of the 70s.
I want nothing to do with you and just like
Coffee Brown.
Oh man.
Yeah, I want to see the crap out of that movie. I was supposed to see it on Thursday, but then I was put in a bad mood by some Goodfellas.
Anymore like we used to, because
That was not as subtle as I wanted it to be.
It's okay. Subtlety has never been our strong suit, so
Yeah, but-
clearly, as we listen to this episode.
character that the boys all really are into, but like
I want to watch Sing Street again. That's all I want to do now. That is what this has inspired me to like want to go watch it again.
Well, and that was kind of the point of why we talked about Sing Street then too, is we wanted people to see that movie.
Right, so congratulations us. You've convinced me to watch a movie again.
Oh no!
Pass.
Did we just do this? Did we just release an entire episode of us just glad handing ourselves because of our first episode?
Dude, that's not total. That totally wasn't the point of this, though. I'll say that. You know what else is really nice? We don't ever talk about DuckTales in this episode.
Is like that idea that like
Which has become a through line, but one that was introduced later. I like that. Yes.
Yeah, like if we end up saying one or two things about DuckTales in the remaining 30 minutes of this episode,
Which is entirely possible in 30 minutes
it's
of an episode.
totally like right now. If it were like an episode from now, a DuckTales would somehow come up. There's no doubt.
Let's do this.
But like the weird thing is, she's 16, he's 15. Like it's not a huge.
To be an Irish boy in the 80s.
I wanted to say that I didn't care. Is when he first meets her. She's like
I was watching Tiny Toons last night. This is a weird through line, but I was watching Tiny Toons last night because they just put all the Steven Spielberg stuff up on Hulu, right? And we were watching a Fifi LePew episode, and there's a moment where she's walking by a construction worker, and of course the construction worker whistles at her, but then of course realizes she's a skunk and freaks out. But it started off with him whistling at her, and the first thought in my head was, aren't these characters supposed to be like 12?
Yeah, they're children.
Yeah, they're children, and that was the joke that they decided to go with. It was a little upsetting.
Like the movie's well made.
But I think that's part of the reason why. Well, first of all, that's part of the reasons why Animaniacs came along.
It's just a couple of weird.
Is because they wanted to do those types of
Alright, this is
jokes
clearly your grasp of
where
the
their
plot.
hands weren't tied by the age of the characters.
Yeah.
Like 100%. But also, like, that was sort of the nice thing about Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, and even to an extent Freakazoid, is that there's no age requirement on the humor.
It's one of those
Like,
movies
it
that
wasn't like we're
totally
going to
deserves a
cater to
nomination,
children on this.
but I don't know how comfortable
There's
I would
humor
be
on
with it.
every
Like, the Golden
level.
Globes were
Oh yeah, I get that, but by the nature of some of those old problematic tropes of old Warner Brothers cartoons, like Tiny Toons is kind of stuck in this weird position now where like they were trying to address stuff, but we've grown so far past the stuff they were trying to address that now they've become part of the problem, which inevitably happens with everything, right? And it was just kind of disappointing to run into that as I was watching it last night. Also, Freakazoid not one of the shows that they put up, and I'm very upset about that.
That's the
I hope
only
I'm
reason
wrong.
that I brought up Freakazoid, was to see if you could confirm or deny that it was
But
on
what I would
Hulu
say
now.
is they shouldn't.
Because
I have
I
not seen
own
it
all
yet.
the episodes on
I've been
DVD, but like,
Jeff.
They fucked up with how they distributed them.
Ponytail Jeff Hibbert. He gave me permission to use his name.
Well, Freakazoid and all of the Steven Spielberg cartoons were stuck in the same weird place that a lot of the old Nickelodeon stuff was. Like, people owning the rights to them that like they can't even touch right now. Like, a lot of the fact that Hulu was able to get all of that stuff was like a big pull and awesome because of whatever contract magic they had to work in order to get all those shows back under one roof to get them onto Hulu. That's probably honestly part of why Freakazoid's not up there, is they probably felt that it did not merit the amount of effort it would take to get the rights to it.
Which is a shame, because I think Freakazoid was the best of them.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, 2018, let's bring back Freakazoid. That's what I'm saying, right? We've brought back all this other shit.
He's
Will
the
and Grace
Deadpool
and
of the Steven Spielberg
Roseanne.
universe.
I mean, he's totally a ripoff of Madman, like without a doubt. But like, I'd love for him to come back. Like, yeah, Deadpool's there. We need a kid-friendly Deadpool. We need Freakazoid again.
The Deadpool annual where you find out that Madman has been the voice in his head for the last like 20 years.
That's fucking amazing.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
What a great reference. I'm so upset.
It's a pretty weird thing.
When Toy Vault, they had a Madman action figure, like from Image Graphics or like Top Cow. Top Cow was who made it. And it was on clearance for $2, and I'm like, I want it, but it's not worth it. That's one of those things where I'm like, I should have just bought it.
That's the only
I freaking love Madman. Why didn't I buy a Madman action figure?
Later on in the film, he has no support from anybody else.
Man, we talk a lot about this stuff. We got deep into things back then.
We went way deep. Well, it was also one of those things where like, we had a production meeting, and we're like, what do we want to talk about on our first episode? All right, cool. So we'll watch it, and we're like, so like, I had notes for this discussion.
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays this would have been one episode. Sing Street would have just been its own episode.
Yeah, and it would have been peppered in with like some of the other stuff. Like, I'm sure that we would have spiraled off into some things, or like, and I would have mentioned Zelda, but like, yeah, each one of these halves of this episode would have been an episode. Interesting. And I'm still like being a proponent that like we should just fucking communicate.
Or really any form of art. If I just told the truth.
Yeah, I feel like I really need to make sure that
How do you feel about the Roseanne remake? This seems like a good time to like talk about that a little bit.
I'm really interested in Roseanne coming back. Roseanne's always been one of those shows that I always saw a lot of potential in. Like even when I was a kid, I would sneak episodes of it, and I got why everybody was way into it. So like bringing it back makes sense. Oh my god, I can't believe it just. But I'm not happy with the detail stuff that's come out. Like nobody is. Like, why do they need to do this weird Donald Trump stuff? Why do they need to do... I know why they need to do it. It's just as upsetting. It's a show that I wanted to come back until I realized what it coming back actually meant, and then I realized really quickly I didn't want it to come back.
The things that, like, impress me, I've only seen the picture. The daughter that is playing Darlene's daughter, the woman playing Darlene's daughter, looks so much like Darlene, it's crazy. And I like that they're bringing together the two Beckys. Though I think it's weird that Sarah Chalk is going to be the surrogate for Becky 1. I also don't know Becky 1's name. I feel like a real jerk about that. And they gave DJ an African-American daughter. Like, it's very Girl Meets World. Is the best way that I can describe it.
But like Roseanne's whole thing back then, for anybody that didn't care to watch Roseanne back then, you totally should, because it tried to be an important show and address issues in a way that Married with Children did, but like to a wider audience and with a softer hand than Married with Children ever did, right? So like they address really weird, dark, problematic stuff, especially for the early 90s. You know, the fact that they had an open lesbian character on that show was a huge thing. The fact that they addressed like poverty as much as they did was a big thing, right? Like, and so it comes off as irreverent, but it's actually not. It's actually important. And that is what I missed about Roseanne and why I was happy to see it come back. But realizing that what that meant was that it was basically going to have to be this really weird show where she's a MAGA like supporter, and like that they were going to have to draw some lines. That sucks, because it's not going to be fun for anyone. I think it's going to be a problem for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that my father's like, why the hell are they bringing that show back? And I immediately jumped to its defense because we wouldn't have Big Bang Theory or all of those shows that have like Chuck Lorre on them if it weren't for Roseanne, right? Basically, we wouldn't have Sybil if it weren't for Roseanne, and I fucking love Sybil.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna like pretend to not love the show Sybil.
But Roseanne is Chuck Lorre firing on all cylinders. That's what Roseanne is. Like, what we love about Chuck Lorre, and we've actually talked about this on the show before, with like Disjointed and stuff like that. Like, that's him doing what he does best, addressing current issues in the sitcom setting. So it's like easy to digest and interesting. Mom is another one that I've been watching lately that's in the same vein.
Well, but Chuck Lorre just learned on that show. He wasn't the guy in charge. Same with the guy, the Scrubs guy. I can't think of his name right now. But those, like, both of them worked on Roseanne. So then you look at Roseanne and you see how they split and became their whole little universes of what television would be.
Just decided we were going to have a date together.
Yeah. So like you end up with like it being this really influential and important show, and like I said, like it changed the way that people watched television and what they wanted out of things like sitcoms and things like that. And so like I was excited about it coming back, but I think we've grown past Roseanne. And who knows? Maybe they'll do some updating to the format and to the characters in a way that makes it still work. But I think it's going to blow up in the face. You know, it was working really well. I can't believe I'm about to defend this show, but Tim Allen's little project there, Last Man Standing.
Oh, Last Man Standing was fantastic. I loved Last Man Standing. I'm so upset that it went away.
And that is, with everything that's going on with him right now, like, I don't want to sound like I'm in support of Tim Allen being an asshole, because he is being a real asshole about things right now. But like, that show was doing exactly what Roseanne is probably going to end up doing, and was already doing it well and succeeding, and there was no reason for it to stop. Like, so I'm not quite sure what happened at ABC that changed all of this.
But based on what you just said, I would 100% believe is the fact that we're going to bring back Roseanne. We don't need two of these.
Yeah, and right now
his Q level is so fucking low. Let's just cut our losses.
Exactly. Like, they'd much rather deal with Roseanne Barr than they would Tim Allen. So like yeah.
Which is strange, because when Roseanne was canceled, what they probably said at ABC is, I think we'd rather deal with Tim Allen instead of Roseanne Barr.
Yeah.
Because think about it, Home Improvement is sort of what filled that, like, semi-blue collar, down-to-earth.
Yeah, the difference between Home Improvement and Roseanne was that Home Improvement was much tamer than Roseanne ever was. It would deal with like real issues, but never get nearly as in your face as Roseanne did, right? And now it seems like they might be. I don't know.
So that
they want the show.
That's a strange timeline over at ABC. If you think about it, I might map that out because I'm bored. I love that we're not like addressing at all that we're talking about La La Land.
No.
Like,
well, you mentioned Greatest Showman. There was nowhere to go from there.
Oh, God. Great. Did you see Greatest Showman yet?
No, that's a Netflix one for me.
All right, cool. That's fine. There were 3 really good song moments in The Greatest Showman.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they played it up as like songs by the people behind La La Land, it's like, yeah, fuck you. That was a dumb thing that you did there.
And I was excited.
God, La La Land. Like, it's one of those movies that I'm like, I guess I'll rewatch it when it's on HBO. I have never done it. I haven't even done it to confirm that, like, the timeline is fucking wrong. Because her phone in that first scene where she gets, like, you have to go to the audition reminder on her phone, it's like January, but it's supposed to be the, like, days before Christmas.
There's a lot of reasons why you may not like or you may love a movie, and a lot of that has to honestly do with the situation in which you see it.
Oh, 100%.
Dude.
Hey, look at that.
100%. Fuck you, Goodfellas.
Hey, look at that, man.
Actually, not fuck Goodfellas, but like, I'm going to turn this to the audience, the listening audience. If you go to see a replay of an old movie for the pre-show, would you like to see a documentary about that movie? And I mean like a real documentary. I don't mean like Ben Mankiewicz talking about like John Huston having to convince his father to take his teeth out in Treasure of the Sierra Madre. I'm talking like Marty Scorsese talking about what he did in this scene and then us seeing the scene.
Yeah, like the movie, you have not seen the movie yet, and it is just a breakdown of all the things that happened in that movie, all of the important plot points.
It didn't work for me.
Oh, the super important moment that really took audiences by surprise. Let's break that down bit by bit before we show audiences.
Let's break down why it took audiences by surprise.
Dale's like, you're fucking crazy, and I'm like,
no, let's not do that.
Fun, like it was fun, and I enjoyed it. And like, I'm not the kind of person who's gonna let the last, let's say, 20 minutes conservatively of the film affect my enjoyment of the rest of it.
Because it's really just.
Oh, dude, La La Land. I'm so happy I saw it a second and then third time. That's what I'm going to say. And I talk about it in other episodes besides this one because at this time we were only La La Land still hadn't played in Rhode Island. I don't think.
It's the wrap up in the third act where they like kind of go through the melodies of everything that's kind of happened in the rest of the movie, and so it's the epilogue of the film. Because,
just bad movie La La Land. She's so selfish.
Still disagree. He is too. They both are.
I feel like there we go. Let's talk about where La La Land happens in 2016. Her selfishness seems is like negative. Where like now it'd be like, no, it's just her putting herself first in front of this selfish guy. And you say that he's selfish, but he takes a shit job that he does not want to have.
He takes a shit job and then plays victim.
No, because then he's like trying to make the most of it, and she treats him like a victim.
She's like, well, why? And I'm like,
that John Legend song is still fucking great. I love that John Legend song. We Can Start a Fire. But then afterwards, when she's like, this isn't what you want to be doing. And then he's like, yeah, I did it for you, right? And so I guess that's him playing victim, right?
Yeah,
but why is she questioning him? Because he's found a little bubble of happiness in this shitty situation.
Yeah, but he doesn't come out and say, no, this is actually making me happy. Instead, he admits to her that, no, this isn't what I want to be doing, but I have to if you're going to keep doing what you want to do. So he not only plays victim, but then also blames her. If he was truly having a good time, like you said, he should have just been honest with her.
Right, but we also talk about that. That's not compelling. That's not entertainment.
Well, no, it's not compelling to us in the audience. But
people having a fucking conversation is not compelling television. It's funny that Malcolm tries to keep the three women he's on a date with separated in the parts of his building.
But as a character, he could not literally be sitting there thinking, oh, I better not do the right thing here because it's not compelling for the movie. Like, as a character, he can't think that.
Right.
So as a character, he has to be an asshole, which is what makes him an asshole.
But she's also an asshole. They're both assholes.
Yes, they're terrible people. Yes.
Oh, okay. I had seen them because now we're talking about the second time that I saw it, and I'm calling her selfish.
3 months rehearsal, 4 months shooting.
You're missing a very clear point to that scene, though. Is that
what's the point, Sejohn?
The director saw her one-woman show,
right?
Which is why she gets that. So it's not just luck that she ends up there.
She sings a song. She doesn't tell a story. I mean, I'm sure that she actually tells.
I love me back then.
I understand.
I love angry at La La Land when it was fresh, as opposed to still angry at La La Land now, Devin.
In which you immediately then back off of why you were angry.
One-woman show. But it's like, but she doesn't bring her in to offer her the role. Like, she still has to audition for them. She still needs to prove her point. And then it's like this perfect, like, oh my god, it's the once in a lifetime thing that also, like, let's be honest. So it's a fantasy world. It has to be a fantasy world because, like, that kind of passion project.
Because people break out into song and sing in the streets
all the time, all the time.
And very rarely do they result in the person becoming a huge friggin' actress.
I think you actually, what it seems like you had a real issue with back then, is the realism of the story beating the magical realism of a musical. And it just didn't seem to work for you. That there was this musical where, like, something magically realistic could happen, like her getting this audition, didn't seem to jive with the fact that everything else seems so grounded in reality.
But then I'm not wrong what I'm saying right here. The fantasy at the end, he does succumb to all of what she would have wanted.
Well, it's her fantasy. It's
I
in her
understand
head.
that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, like, but that's the thing.
And the things that he went against her.
I'm saying it right now.
Why she was able to do what she did.
No, see, I don't think that. I think that she understands that. I think that she.
I don't think she does, Sejohn. I think you're wrong.
She does, even at the end.
Pass, Sejohn.
Because, like,
President Sejohn, you're cool.
Yeah, but I think that that's why they're able to.
I mean,
to realize that they
it's
shouldn't.
At the end of the day, it's a movie, And
no, but it's not. Yeah, but in terms of her realizing what she really wanted out of their relationship and that not happening, he also has that realization that he could not be who she needed him to be, and she could not be who he needed her to be. Like they both come to the understanding that they cannot be together. That's the end of that movie. Right? So as much as they love each other, they both realize we're terrible together. Like that's the realization, is that we cannot be together because we cannot do that and live the lives we also want to be living. We can't be the people we want to be and be together. Which is a tragedy. Which is a beautiful, beautiful tragedy of that movie.
I got you. I can get behind that.
So that's
neither of them is good. Neither of them is a good person. Neither of them is good together. Like it is a shit show.
How do we still have 15 minutes of this episode? I don't want to like break the meta of it, but like we talked for so long that first episode.
Yeah, man. Well, part of it is also that it was the first episode, right? So we had been sitting on this energy and this conversation.
Yeah,
forever.
I know. I guess I'm just nervous that we don't have the same energy now, but we have to, right? Like I'm still super passionate about bullshit in this episode.
So try this.
Right now.
Yeah. We'll try this on for size. I think as much as we have lost the on paper structure that we were going for in this first episode, we have now broken it down to such an internalized structure that we don't need an hour and a half to get through it. We have actually worked out, all right, this is exactly like, this is the high point, this is the plateau, this is the low, this is the denouement. Like we have structured the show every week in a way that we are just naturally falling into a structure that doesn't require an hour and a half.
Do you remember that moment where like, is this what it is? Just us glad handing ourselves on the back? Denouement is the moment that the episode became that. Just for the fucking record. I get where you're coming from.
I'm just saying, we know where the rise and fall of the action is now, and we don't need to talk for an hour and a half because that's not enjoyable to us, and it's probably not enjoyable to our listeners.
That's true. We try to get it in under an hour now. An hour.
We actually purposely had a conversation once of being like 45 minutes to an hour, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it was probably in relation to this super long first episode. That like, it's weird. It's weird listening to us. I still sound the same. I'm glad that my voice hasn't changed.
Yes, I'm glad in the last year that we haven't grown so much that our voices have finally cracked. One day we'll go through puberty, though.
I could sound like this. No, I don't know what that was. Was that Sling Blade? Was that Forrest Gump?
It's like your own take on Buffalo Bill is what that was.
Would you fuck
song
me?
that he finally plays, which is the song he's been writing the whole time, and now she finally hears it in full in front of an audience. Like it highlights for her everything that she did actually to get what she wanted, and that's why I think you're right. The rest of the movie, she does not seem to feel.
Devin does record every episode of the show naked with his dick tucked between his legs.
It's the only way I feel comfortable in front of a microphone. We all deal with stage fright in different ways. No way that 4 salaries.
That's a little gift for anybody that bothered listening an hour and 12 minutes into this episode.
But like, then she learns what real sacrifice is when she loses Seb in order to become who she is. But I think
Seb,
that moment,
the way that you just said Seb, like you're defending a friend,
is her finally realizing how much
there was such passion behind your voice.
You know what I mean? So like,
is this what commentary is? Like, I feel like this is what commentary is, right? Talking about other stuff inspired by the stuff you're listening to. I don't ever watch commentary on DVDs or anything.
Man, you want to talk about some good commentaries? You should check out the Futurama ones. Futurama commentaries were fantastic.
I have watched a couple of Futurama documentaries, but that's not commentaries, because I was in the hospital when like those came out. So like I watched through the entire DVD set, and then I just started watching with the commentary.
Yeah,
you were not
exactly
wrong.
what I did.
Yeah. Another good commentary, like this seems like what we should be doing now. Waiting is one of my favorite commentary
Waiting's
tracks.
the one where they straight up like stop the movie, don't they? Aren't there moments where they like pause the film?
Yeah, because what they did was, and I don't know of any commentary that's done this since, but like they should. They have one of those play-by-play screens that like NFL announcers have.
Yeah.
So they can like draw and highlight stuff, and that's so friggin' good.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what commentary needs.
Yeah, man. I remember the commentary track for Waiting is like an extra like 10 or 15 minutes longer than the movie itself.
Yeah, because they pause on like the Rube Goldberg machine to like show how it works, because it never gets to go off. They're like, it was so disappointing because we built this working Rube Goldberg machine, but then we never got to use it. What? And another good commentary, Hot Fuzz. But that's just because I love Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, and Edgar Wright is, I mean, he's such a fan, like, nerdy fan like us. It's like listening to an episode of our show, and listening to any of his commentary tracks. Because I was going to say the spaced commentaries are really good. What's really good about the spaced ones is that it's always Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, but then they have a rotating cast of people, like Kevin Smith does an episode, Quentin Tarantino does an episode. It's just these guys coming in talking about how Spaced kind of, like, inspired them. Like, it's really cool.
Can we talk about Spaced real quick? And when I asked for it for Christmas on DVD, and I got the documentary series Space.
Oh, God. Oh, no. I'm so sorry.
And I'm like, this is not what I wanted.
That's
almost
as good. It's almost as good as when I got super excited because I finally had my own money and my own credit card. And one of the first things I ever ordered was Spaced on DVD, but I had to order it from Europe. It was the only place it was available. And when it came,
Region 2 DVD.
It was Region 2, and I didn't know anything about regions at the time, so I didn't think to look for it when I ordered it. All I know is I tried to put it in my PlayStation, and my PlayStation's like, we're not going to play this. And I was like, what is wrong with my DVDs? And that's when I learned about regions.
Didn't you have one of those Cyberhome DVD players from Walmart, though, that everybody got for Christmas 2003 that was region-free?
No,
it was a $10 DVD player that Walmart was selling, and they were completely region-free.
Not until I got to college did I have a region-free DVD player, and I do think it was from Walmart, so probably eventually.
It was probably that exact Cyberhome one that everybody had.
I could finally watch my Spaced DVDs. It was fine. I now have a Universal Region one, but...
Oh, yeah, me too. I want to watch that show again. There's a good thing about Paddington 2. Daisy, I can't think of the actress's name because I'm a monster. She's a character in it.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's excellent. I love you. I love seeing you in things. It's a shame that she doesn't show up in more of Edgar Wright's stuff. I wonder if there was a falling out, because she was like a big creative part behind that. She shows up in Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, she shows up in Shaun of the Dead as like a nod to their relationship because like she shows up and there's almost a moment where you
counterpart, which is one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, you wonder for a moment if it's just a continuation of Spaced. No, I don't think there was much of a falling out so much as it's just that she is such a creative force that I think she went on to do a lot of her own stuff.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
more than Simon Pegg, I think that she kind of got into doing a lot of stuff over in England. I mean, that's one of the things you got to remember about stuff like that is you always wonder where those actors go. There's a whole other world over there that we don't see. There's television shows and movies that come out all the time in Europe that we don't have any like knowledge of.
Dude, the exact thing that I just said. No, she doesn't. Crazy world. I love that. I'm like still angry about La La Land for the same reasons. That's the best part about it. That I haven't had to invent new reasons to still be mad at it. Like it is still the same argument now. That's crazy to me. I love you.
That's a moment of growth for her.
I would believe it, and I would believe
You know what? You know what's good over there in Britain that we don't get over here, but we totally should. Are the big quiz of the year, the quiz of the year. You ever watch those?
Is that a QI thing? Not QI. What's the show? There's a quiz show that is on all the time. Is it like a?
Never mind the Buzzcocks.
No, it's not that one. I'll have to look this up later. There's
No, that's like a yearly thing. Like they do it every day on Boxing Day.
Okay.
And it's the big fat quiz of the year. And they're great. They're just hilarious.
Cool.
Big Fat Quiz of the Year 2014 is one that I would recommend 100%. You have to watch the whole thing, and it is going to be terrible. It's going to be the worst experience that you've ever experienced for an hour and 10 minutes, and then it all pays off.
Okay.
Because
that's a hard recommendation.
Dude, it's a hard recommendation. And the reason why it's terrible is Mel B. Mel B is one of the panelists answering questions. And, like, it's totally, like, a contractual thing. Like, she does not want to be there.
Oh, God, that's gross. That's hard to watch.
So that's hard to watch. So that's what I'm saying is that it's hard to watch because of Mel B. But then something happens an hour and 10 minutes in that makes it so amazing. That like you're totally okay with it.
In terms of not
You're
knowing
totally
true
okay
endings,
with it.
if I have to listen to one
All
more
right,
person
all
try to
right.
explain to me what they feel the end of
Inception.
was, I'm going to punch somebody in the face. So I'm glad that I don't have that issue where I have to listen to somebody else.
Oh, Sejohn, you're still mad about
Oh,
Inception.
he totally. His ring was definitely his token.
I'm not mad about Inception. I'm mad about people trying to explain
Interpret
Inception to me. No, not even interpret it. They try to explain to me as if there is like an answer.
So can I tell you the really nice thing? The very first episode of Two Friends and a Coach, I was challenged to watch Inception.
Okay.
So it's super cool to me that the very first episode of the Say Report, Inception got brought up.
But by the end of it, I just felt like I was happy I got it. So like, and maybe that'll change when I see it for a third time. I don't know, but like when I was watching it in the theater and it happened, I was just like, oh,
La La Land.
And I straight up was just like, what?
La La Land?
What is this?
What are we talking
mean?
about right now?
What are they trying to tell me? So like in the moment of it coming at me, I definitely had a lot of the feelings that you're talking about, but by the end of it, I came back around to just being completely like on board for the entire thing.
Bam.
Yeah.
And that's
Good.
really
Good. I'm glad that you enjoyed La La Land. Do you still enjoy La La Land? Have you seen it again?
Oh yeah, I've seen it a few times throughout the year. Because like people throughout the year, as they've kind of discovered it, have been super into it, and it's been great to be there for that.
Do you use that as an opportunity to recommend our podcast?
Every chance I get, every conversation I have ends with, "By the way, I do a podcast. You should check it out."
I'm just saying, every conversation about La La Land. Oh, you should listen to the first episode of my podcast. We talk about it for like 30 minutes.
We talk about it far too long.
Yeah, dude, I can't believe we're still talking about La La Land. To be fair, I had 3 viewings of La La Land to get off my fucking chest.
You gotta do them. You gotta make them.
Exactly. And I think that's,
right, here we go.
That's the bit of Obi-Wan.
I like that we have false endings in our first episode. It's like it's like Lord of the Rings.
I think that we've managed that too.
Yeah.
All right, good. We're here. We're at the end though.
Yeah, but there's still 10 minutes left of the recording.
Twitter. I had bounced off Twitter for a bit, but I will be back. And that was at Siege versus the World. So I will.
Unless we have some weird dead air at the end of this episode.
I hope we'll figure it out.
But that'll be the place to get in touch
with me. Yeah.
We now have a Facebook page that I am slowly building.
You've done a good job on the Facebook page. I'm just going to say that.
That has come out. I say new.
And, you know, every couple of months I hop on there and actually do something to it. I try and get on there as much as I can.
Like you can't just make
every couple of months. I try to do as much as I can.
Hey man, doing this shit for free ain't easy.
I don't get paid either.
I know.
Meanwhile, Blue.
I'm saying this for the both of us.
Blue
People out there should pay us for this.
We use special code SAY to receive 20% off your first month of Blue Plate.
There you go.
We could do it. Don't really do that. That's not true.
I am on Twitter as well.
Could you imagine that if like we actually had a lucrative sponsorship deal, but I like just don't find a way to work it into any episodes?
Oh crap! We would be getting paid if I remembered to do this.
And if you just don't want to hear about me or Sejohn stuff, he's doing Facebook. I'm doing Twitter. We are on Twitter at the Say Report, and you can
at the Say Report.
Just generals going.
I don't do anything with the Twitter. I'll be completely honest with you. I changed the name to be Festive, and I pester Randy Quaid.
We're gonna try and throw stuff into our Twitter.
Our show in a nutshell.
Yeah, like we were the Slay Report at Halloween.
Yeah.
And then we were the Slay Report at Christmas.
How many do you think this will be a fun to end it on?
Oh shit!
Itself, I bet you that Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling get. Oh, you know what? I bet you Ryan Gosling doesn't. I feel like Emma Stone really is going to get the nom for it.
I don't remember how this worked out.
I think I was right.
I think you were right, 100%.
I love her so much in this movie. I love her so much in general.
That's dude, but it's
that's just an easy A, Sejohn.
But I bet you in this world in which we get like 10 movies.
There's a minute left. What are you talking about? There's still 10 minutes left.
Hold on, wait.
I'll be surprised if it wins, but pleasantly so.
Well, I don't know what could go against.
Little do we know.
That's amazing.
Underdog to come out of nowhere.
Like Moonlight?
Boom. Like Moonlight. We called it. We called it all in this episode.
Kubo's not going to win Best Animated because Zootopia is.
When we have Zootopia and Moana in this year, and we're going to have to do an episode about Moana.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
Did we do one?
No, we talked about it, and you'd expressed how upset you were that he rhymed island 3 times in a row with island, and I pointed out to you that that's not a rhyme. He's just saying the word island. Here it is. Here it is.
Maybe I should roll with mine.
Love for Disney movies and songs. Oh, that'll be good. That'll be really good. And you guys think
we do talk about Disney bias in the next episode, though. Which, like, if you haven't listened, like, this is the time to go back and listen to those old episodes.
Yeah, clearly, we're still talking about stuff that's still important today. Like, go back and listen. We talk about this as if it was, like, years ago.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Were we planning on doing our next episode about Disney?
I'm Devon Decker.
I am Sejohn Sarowick.
You've never picked up on that, ever. It's
I never
still
will.
a problem.
They rhymed island with island 4 times.
What times?
All right, anyway, until next time, I'm Devon Decker.
It's not a rhyme. The point is not him rhyming. That wasn't, whatever. It's emphasis.
Oh my god, this was before Will.
Oh my god, we'd not have a Will? Oh, you couldn't even throw to him. We couldn't have a funny throw to Will.
We couldn't have a funny throw to Will. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that was our commentary in the biggest quotation marks.
I think we've gotten much better.
I think we've gotten much better too, as we identified a bunch during that commentary. We're more fluid now. We're off the cuff. We understand when something comes to an end. We don't try to like give everything a fair shake. If something random comes up, we try to curb it. We don't do another whole segment on it.
You know what we do is we promise we'll talk more about it later and then never come back to it.
That's true. That is 100% it.
Which is a great way to kill it. I'm not saying I'm disappointed that happens. I'm saying I'm happy that we're smart enough to point out that maybe we should talk about this later. And, if it's important enough, we will come back to it.
But very rarely do we. And as much as I want to talk for 5 more minutes, so this is the length of a feature film, I think we're good. So if you want to yell at me about anything that I expressed today or a year ago, you can still reach me on Twitter at Devon D. Decker.
And you can catch me on the Twitters at Siege versus the World.
And so with that, where there's a will, there's a way to end this episode.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.